Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius today. Well, so you know that when an energy source, a big energy source, such as a personal planet, moves into a different energy, I like to cover it via your sun, moon, and rising sign so that you understand how it's going to personally affect you. So I want to tell you a little bit about this energy source moving into Sagittarius, and then I'll go forward and tell you how it affects you personally. So Mercury in Sagittarius is a very optimistic way of thinking. It opens your mind. It broadens your perspective. Your day-to-day thinking is going to change. You are going to have this incredible thirst for knowledge in the reality of your situation on a day-to-day level. This is about, you're very enthusiastic and optimistic. You have a strong vision for the future. This is about moving forward. It's about clarity and decision making. It's about making a decision and then moving forward energetically with the tenacity of a fixed energy and fire energy to move forward. It's also highly adaptable energy. So once you put your mind on something and you lock and load on it, you will move forward with it. But up till then, it's about weighing out perspectives, looking at it from a broad way of thinking. It's about being able to absorb information from multiple sources, and you will have some time of being indecisive, but that is as you are interpreting information, the way that you think evolves. And I think that's the key word in this energy. It's evolution of thinking. And so as you're moving forward, this is very invigorating, right? This is very, when you are optimistic and you have cleansing Chiron and you have Piscean energy in here, this is about taking in, look, you have 12 houses. Everybody has 12 houses, and they have planets in 12 houses, and they have 12 signs in 12 houses, right? And so that's a lot of things that you've got to consider. You have your whole bottom part of your chart, which is how you grew up, and then you have the top part of your chart is how you're going to move forward. So understand there's a big picture to the way that you're thinking. You're not just thinking on this. Okay, if you were thinking on a Gemini level, it's immediate needs, right? It's immediate gratification needs. If you're thinking on a ninth house level, on the Sagittarian level, you're thinking about broad and opening up yourself, interpreting data, looking at things from large perspectives, looking at cultural groups, looking at how other people do things. You will have an insatiable need to research out what you're going to do forward before making decisions. You're very mutable. You're very energetic in this level. And this is about freedom to think like this. This is about taking yourself from an oppressive thought process and broadening and opening yourself up. Love this energy, very complementary to Chiron in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces and this moon in Pisces that we have going up. Love this energy. So let's get started with how this is going to affect your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. Hi Aries, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. And for you, all of this is going to be happening in your ninth house. Now, the ninth house is the house where we experience the most expansion spiritually, analytically, and internally. And this is where we get a grasp on new theories and new concepts. And there's really no boundary in this particular house. Now, for you, your ruler is in the seventh house. So perhaps some of you are thinking that there is no boundary in a relationship that you can't overcome, or that you can't work your way through. So, okay, let me give you an idea of what I'm trying to say. So, some people may have cultural boundaries that they don't have a problem with, or that they are trying to get in line with. Or some people may have age boundaries that are they're no concept to them. They're broad, they're open to that dynamic in their relationships. And the reason I say that is because Mars in Libra is going to be conjunct with Venus in Libra in relationships. So cultural boundaries, age, all the dynamics that most people have a problem with on a ethical level, you may have a much more broad term on that. Some people could have open relationships. Some people could have, some people are sexually open to different dynamics. These things are not going to be considered a boundary with you. You're going to have a very expansive way of looking at this. And the reason I say that is because Mercury and Saturn and Sagittarius are both going to be in sextile with Mars and Libra. So you are able to look at all sides of this and to take a look at it when you are like this. Now, this is beautiful energy for an Aries. You guys sometimes get set in your ways and get very fixated on limiting belief systems. And this expansive energy is going in and really challenging those boundaries and asking you to take a look at things from a different perspective. Some of you may, okay, a father figure in your life may have had a very rough influence on you. So this father may have had a very limiting belief system in relationships, or may have taught you a very limiting belief system in relationships. And so you have really aligned your life with that. And as we've had all these challenging issues in relationships, especially for you, you've been working in a lot of 7th house work. This is challenging how you move forward in relationships. You've always tried to do things that made sense to others, but this is going to be something that you're not so concerned with others as you are concerned with your own happiness. And with that can come a blurring of borders, I want to say, in what you see as a normal, healthy relationship. And that could be a bit of a challenge for some of you. This is about an expansion in how you seek partners and what you do in your partnerships. What shapes your ethics and your morals in this relationships and relationship dynamics that could really open you up to that. So this is big ideas. This is enthusiastic, optimistic perspectives for once. Sometimes if you get caught in a negative vibration, you can be very pessimistic, but you're not. You're completely looking at this from a positive perspective, because there's a lot of sextiles in this energy. Even though you have this squaring off, sometimes what that squaring off is just the challenging of limiting belief systems to open you up to these positive perspectives. This is about developing a clear understanding about how you want to move forward in these new perspectives. So sometimes it could take research. Sometimes it could take, you know what, if you want a foreign bride, say you're one of those people that are like, okay, Americans are high maintenance. I want a foreign bride. How do I go about doing it? You may be looking at something like that. I know it sounds strange, but it can be a way that you're moving forward. Because maybe American relationships aren't aligning with the way that you see traditional foundations. This also has to do with okay, so it could be a work relationship. It could be a work partnership, a partner that you work with on a regular basis. So for some of you, we know that we spend actually more time at work with our partnerships at work than we actually do on our actual partnerships. And so some of you may have a work relationship that is actually more of a partnership. And so we may have to take a look at that partnership, validate it, but maybe not align ourselves with the partnerships that we have at work as much as we're aligning ourselves with outside partnerships. So some of those partnerships at work could be tainting our belief systems, and so that could be challenged in this energy. Highly probable. In fact, for many of you, I see that, because what's happening is they're making you hold back on what you deeply desire, making you self-protective because the fear of being judged at work, and and that's making you not have a very open perspective. I don't want you to align yourself with that limiting belief system. Some people at work, our relationships that we form at work are just that. They're work relationships. I really am very territorial over the fact that my work is my work and my personal life is my personal life. I want you to be too. Don't align yourself with being the leader at your job so much that you start to conform to their limiting belief systems, because then you'll square out in this energy for sure, and you'll have some Uranian moments. Absolutely. So open yourself up. If there's age differences, if there's cultural boundaries, if there's things but there's a partner that you are clearly interested in, I believe that you need to move forward with them and have the confidence that it takes to feel very passionate about an outcome. Change your belief systems about relationships at work, and don't align yourself so much with the fact that you in this leadership role so much so that you're conforming. Align yourself with the fact that you're a leader, you're outstanding, you're above all that, you're forward thinking, you are out to initiate change in life. You are not out to conform. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi Taurus, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. Now for you, this is all going to be happening in your 8th house. And the 8th house is the house of intimate relationships, right? It's the house of sex, it's the house of death, transformation, rebirth, regeneration, big house, deep house to talk about. Now for you, your ruler is in Libra, and it is in the 6th house. So this is definitely about acknowledging your rituals, acknowledging the way that you move forward with positive health routines, mental well-being routines. And you've been being challenged in this area for a really long time. It suggests to me that you have been out of alignment with some of your routines. Some of your routines and your rituals may have interfered in relationships substantially in the past. And so this is about teaching you how to cope in the state of adversity. When you reach a personal crisis, how do you cope? Now, for some of you, those coping methods could have been that you would drink, or that you would find some way to feed your senses. Attention is a big one for you. Affirmation. Some of you overindulge, you overeat, or you drink. You find some way to be very self-indulgent, to feed yourself in a way that allows you to maintain ego in state of adversity. So you work through that. This is about duty. This is about a sense of responsibility, increasing those areas, right? So Venus in Libra is going to be conjunct with Mars in Libra. This is about moving forward, energy, passion, but balancing out your obligations with work, obligations with partnerships, obligations with yourself. Balance is the key to all of this energy. Also, you're going to be in a challenging aspect with Pluto. Pluto is about looking at your life on a long range level, the bigger perspective, right? The long-term goals. You know, this is about aligning your personal well-being, personal strength, personal power with what you want. If you are lying to yourself in any way, and if you are settling for something less than something that empowers yourself to solidify your foundation, that can be a challenge in this energy, and that's where you experience this square. It's not about staying in these limiting belief systems that what is tangible, it makes you happy. This is about what reaching the level of gratification on an intangible level. So for some of you, what Uranus is going to do is it's going to come in here and it's going to awaken you in some of your unconscious realms, some of the deepest parts of you. And it's going to awaken desire, need, wants on a deeply personal level. It's going to open you up internally to what you need to move forward. This is about where you are self-destructive, where you need to have a metamorphosis in some of these rituals that take away personal power. This is about where secrets lie. For some of you who have secrets in your lifestyle, maybe you have hidden agendas, maybe you have areas of your life that you're hiding from partnerships. Revelations could happen during this Uranian moment, and it could be an awakening for a partner, or you could receive an awakening from a partnership. Very, very possible in this energy. This is about looking at things from a new perspective and shaping your thought process to new theories and new concepts. This is about opening you up to all that. Sometimes when you're Taurian, you can get stuck in this regiment, this belief system that is very disempowering, and that can lead you to obsessive and needy thought processes, and it can make you very controlling and a very overwhelming partner to be with. And since you have all of this energy working in Libran energy, this is partnership. Partnerships are going to be focused on for a while. Even if you are wanting to get some work, if you're wanting work to be a focus, partnerships will inevitably interfere, because there's an area of your life that definitely needs to be transformed for you to have ultimate happiness. And so, I mean, we need life to be well-rounded. We need a strong foundation on every level. It can't just be I'm achieving, I'm receiving social status. If your foundation, your basic foundation is not solidified, then neither will your outside relationships and the recognition that you desire from coworkers and peers. So understand that if your relationships are in turmoil, then there's something not aligned with yourself, and then you will not ever experience the alignment that you need in life as far as tangible and intangible. So it's about transformation, awakenings in these areas on an energetic level. That was the level through astrology. You're not in alignment. I think you have a vision and a want and a desire on a very simplistic level. So you want your earthly needs met and tangible needs met. And that means aligning yourself with a partner that can meet your needs as far as the social status and the house that you want, the car that you want, the lifestyle that you want. But it also needs to meet you on a very earth-based level. You're a very practical sign, and so it goes back to that homey feeling, right? And so for you, it's working through that in your mind. It's working through all of this stuff, this 12th house work and this Mercury work. Look, when Mercury moves into Sagittarius, when Mercury moves into Sagittarius, this is about okay, so when you have a Uranian jolt, then you have a big idea, or you think about something new. It's kind of like if a tree falls in a road, we have to change direction completely. We can't, unless we have some like big truck, whatever. I don't even know what could get over a tree, unless it's a teeny little tiny tree. We have to change our direction completely. So sometimes this Mercury in Sagittarian energy can be a change in direction of a thought process. But it's very enthusiastic and very optimistic once we do. It's once you actually make that change, then it's the, oh my God, life just opened up for me and I got a big new beginning. And so it can be very invigorating energy, and it can be very fun. It can open you up. Like, okay, so say you're with a partner that you're just not aligning with, but this partner gives you that tangible, those tangible things. But say you release yourself from this dying relationship. Well, then what happens is it opens you up to fulfillment and hope and dreams and moving forward and new energy, new passion, new love. Optimism will initially flood in once you change the direction that you're going. So it's very strong energy. It's also very hopeful. But before you do that, you have some things to work through, right? Some logistics. So if I'm looking at it from the energetic side of it, we have this really big, full, hopeful outcome with this person that you thought was going to give you money. I've been feeling like for the longest time, some of you have been caught between two people, and one of them had a very good portfolio and the other one was very risky, had a lot of risk involved. And so you chose the good portfolio, I guess, or you were thinking about the good portfolio, or you were trying, it was very hard for you to get away from the one that had the best portfolio. But now you're not seeing that that's as hopeful, or that it gives you as good a feeling, or that it makes you feel as happy. There's something that you're not reaching emotional fulfillment in that area. So what some of you may be experiencing is a realization in that area, and then there's you want that new feeling, that new passion. So it's going to be about leaving a situation for many of you. For many of you, I feel like you're leaving something and you're moving forward, and it's a very bright, sunny outlook, extremely sunny outlook for some of you. It is about it's about letting go of the tangible things and getting more in touch with the earthbound ideals that you have, that need, that all your earthly sensibilities to be activated at the same time. I feel it's very, very positive. And once you make this decision and you move forward and you have this expansion, this Mercury experience and this broad way of thinking, I feel like you're going to be so much happier when you release yourself. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading, dear Gemini, for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. And for you, all of this is going to be happening in your 7th house. So Mercury in Sagittarius is going to be in your 7th house moving forward for quite some time. And it is going to be conjunct with the Sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Sagittarius, but squaring off with Neptune that is now direct. So this is about healing energy in relationships. And it is about, I think in relationships, to a degree, you are somewhat naive, or you look at things from a very optimistic outlook. You're very optimistic energy. Well, you can be pessimistic depending on which twin you're tuning into, but for the most part, you're very optimistic when you first start out. Reality checks soon set in when the delusion that you create about relationships, that feel good, that instantaneous gratification that you sometimes seek, sometimes then reality sets in, and it's not a relationship based on nothing but gratification, at some point, it's a relationship. It requires work. It requires determination. It requires communication. And it requires you to broaden your perspectives on yourself. You have to, at some point, find a way to compromise. And although you're a mutable energy, highly mutable, you're also a very self-gratification type energy. And so aligning those two can be very difficult. So for you, this Neptune in Pisces is somewhat of, okay, so you go from this reality check in this relationship to trying to change your mindset back onto optimism. So what happened was is you probably entered into a relationship that you were very idealistic about. And then when you got into the relationship, it was like a reality check. It wasn't as optimistic as you had once thought. And you have to work at this relationship. This relationship is requiring a lot of compromise and a lot of conversations about meeting in the middle. And it's about pointing out some of your deficiencies, which then causes your dark twin to come out. And so it's a lot of conversations that you kind of don't want to have. You like conversations that are fun and light and easygoing and invigorate you and get your intellectual juices going, but not to the degree that where you're always trying to take a look at yourself and overanalyze yourself. If you start to overanalyze yourself, then you get caught in very energy that makes you have a lot of anxiety and works you up and makes you think about things about yourself on a negative level. So you may find that it's going to challenge some of the areas where you have created illusions actually about yourself. Not so much the partnerships, is that your partnerships are bringing forth areas that you are delusional with oneself. So the 7th house is a really cool house. The 7th house is the house where we fall in love, but fall on our asses as well. So the 7th house challenges us by bringing people into our lives, often karmic relationships, to inform us of how we are doing in our lives. So if we're attracting a lot of really self-destructive relationships or a lot of drama, if we're attracting a lot of relationships that enable our coping methods, or then we know that there is a coping method we need to get a hold of, or we know that there is an area of our life that we are not healthy in, or we know that the things that are brought forth in that relationship are often where we have deficiencies. It is the barometer of the universe to tell us where we need to work on in ourselves. When we associate enough pain with something, we can change it. Often in relationships where we associate pain is through these deeply emotional wounds that these karmic relationships give us. When we go through these karmic lessons, that's when it allows us to have a realization in that area. I know that when I was involved with a relationship, it helped me see that at times it can be very codependent, very, I was at points in my life somewhat narcissistic in relationships. I wasn't a narcissist, but I had narcissistic traits that were not imbalanced, and a relationship that I was in pointed that stuff out to me. And as I explored the problems that I had with that person, and I thought it was that person's fault, it then in turn revealed to me where my deficiencies lied, where my empty buckets were, where I needed to fill myself up. So you may be experiencing somewhat of a reality check in that area. And Mercury in Sagittarius is all about that. It's about opening ourselves up to a new belief system. You will have a thirst for knowledge and how to change this. It could be a thirst for knowledge and communication with others, because Mercury is in Sagittarius, and that's your planet. It's a planet of communication. So it will give you an optimistic look, but not before we go through this squaring energy. So Mercury in Sagittarius in a negative vibration, when we experience a square, that's a pulling down of energy into a lower vibration, enough to challenge it to make you want to pull it up into a higher vibration by changing a mindset. So when this happens, it's about the fact that maybe if you're with a partner that plays mind games, maybe you actually are a person that has in the past played significant mind games with people, and you despise what you see in this partner. And so therefore it makes you reflect, holy crap, I do that. Like, when you start to research it, when you start to get a handle on it, when you start to evaluate what you don't like about that partner, it's like, oh my God, I kind of do that myself. And that's what happened to me, by the way. You can be restless, impatient, and judgmental in this energy, highly judgmental, which will then make you debatable and combative in this energy source. Because you want, when we debate and we look at different perspectives, say we're in a debate and you have one stance, say you have a pro and the other person has a con. If that person brings up a significant argument in a con, part of the argument, then it can make you take a look at their cons, and there is some weight to them. There is some rationality to them. And it can cause you then, if you have two extremes in energy, to meet in the middle. When you have these strong debates, these strong personal arguments about mindsets and points of views. So you may find that there's a reality check in a relationship, a partnering energy, and they're laying down boundaries and rules, and they're trying to control an outcome, control a situation, and you're a highly uncontrollable energy. You're not an energy source that anybody's ever going to fully control. You're air. You blow in all different directions. So if somebody tries to control the airflow, you will find another vent, another outlet for it. And so sometimes when somebody tries to suppress you, that in turn will make you vent in the dark twin. So it's good to know this stuff about how you work in a high and a low vibration, because then that allows you to dedicate your stamina to changing outcomes. So that is the astrological side of it. The energetic side of it is, all of this stimulating energy is really causing you to think about what you want on a day-to-day level, especially in partnerships, especially when it comes to building your life long-term, way down the road. Now, we have this beautiful Pisces moon that is conjunct with Chiron, wanting to heal us, wanting us to cleanse us from all of this energy that is blocking us in negativity. So often when this happens, we have to see where we have wounds, and it's good for you to know where Chiron is in your chart, for you to see where your wounds lie. That can account for some of the instability in your behavior. You are a very unstable energy source for people to be able to predict. And so in this energy, along with this mutable energy, your thoughts may be somewhat unpredictable in this energy. As you're taking in lots of data from different sources, as you're learning, as you're expanding your thought process, it really is opening you up and making you somewhat indecisive, I would say. So that's completely understandable, as Saturn tries to, then once you open up to that, it tries to control the source of information, decipher it, make sense of it, and then move forward with it. So that can lead to your reality check somewhat, is these conversations where you get these epiphany moments, you have a conversation, and then that person doesn't take it well, and then you're like, whoa, it's actually not the way I meant it at all. So you are trying to make a decision. And I think, honestly, you're feeling good about your life, but there's this decision that's on your head. And with all this energy, don't make it now. I want to say hold off and wait. You don't have all the information. There's much more that's going to be revealed. And as you're moving forward, try a diplomatic approach to all of this. If you're being pressured to make a decision, let's say, then just tell them that you are not ready, that you are taking, that you have, there's a lot of factors on the table, and that you really need to take in all the data that's going on, because there's much more that you're going to have to anticipate. As you take this Libran view, right? Because we have a lot of Libra energy in us. It is then you're going to start to look at two different perspectives. And I see this balance is definitely necessary. I think if you're trying to make a decision when you're not aligned and in balance, you're not going to make the right decision, right? You need to make sure that when you make this decision, you make it with a completely sound mindset, and that's impossible in all this mutable energy. Don't worry, much relief is coming. Chiron's going to come in and heal all this, and it's, once we just, it needs to bring all of the debris up for it to flush it out. So just allow this to happen. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next astrological event. Hi Cancers, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. And for you, the moon is going to be in Pisces, conjunct Chiron in Pisces, all happening in your 6th house. So when the moon, your emotions, your ruling planet, aligns with Chiron in Pisces, in the wounded healer, this is about old, faded, karmic wounds being flushed. Whenever I look at Chiron in Pisces, I look at a cumulative energy. We're at the end where all of our wounds dump into. Now, of course, if you want to be way more specific in this energy, and I suggest that you do, you learn where Chiron is in your natal chart. Wherever it lies in your natal chart, that is where your wound is that you will have for the rest of your life. Now, the wound will go through several stages, as wounds do, as they take to heal, right? We have the inflammatory stage when the wound is first inflicted, right? And we have that, that pain and that raised wound, and we have to put a lot of salve, and we've got to take care of it. And then as the wound goes into the next phase, it starts to heal over, right? But it is still a very sensitive tissue source. We will always feel some sensitivity where that wound was. And then as the wound matures and as we go through the end of the wound phase, it is a wound that we try to prepare others not to feel. And that is essentially what happens with Chiron, the wounded healer, is we go through these stages in our life of this wound, the evolution of this wound. And at the end, we're wonderful teachers. We are scholars in how to deal, how to adapt to the wound that we have, and then how to move forward and help people who have the same wound. That is Chiron. So when our moon aligns with this in the 12th house, all happening, this is a very cumulative, this is a very old, deep karmic wound. So wherever your wound lies is where this deeper underlying karmic lesson, karmic wound really, really aligns. So I'm thinking back in the times when we have that Pluto-Uranus squares, and we had all that Sagittarian Scorpio energy, and we had all these deep karmic lessons. Perhaps many of you, because that is a really big wound for many of us, that many of us bore during that time, we experienced some deep karmic gouging at our wound. And it reopened that wound and made it even more sensitive, if you can believe it. So many of us, when we went through this, we went through a complete mental metamorphosis, physical metamorphosis, as well as a general life routine metamorphosis. We learned where our vulnerabilities lie and where limitations lie. And that's super important. Sorry, there's like this little thing floating around my front of my face. There was this, where this vulnerability lies, right? And I personally, when I went through my Pluto-Uranus squares, I learned I have a limitation. I thought if you push forward and you work harder and you work harder and you work harder, you're going to get what you want. Guess what happened? I broke just like everybody else. I just mentally broke just like everybody else. There came at a point where I had mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, and just honestly, my mental peace was not well, because of the demands of my work schedule and my life schedule, and what it took to maintain my work schedule with my home life. And I just literally almost lost my mind. And when that happened, it really honestly opened me up to the word no. I learned no. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be in this type of relationship. I'm not going to go through this type of trials for no reasons. And if I'm in a job, it will be a job that inevitably allows me the freedom to say no at some point. There's a limitation that I have to meet in myself. And, all of us did. And when we did, that kind of reopened that wound. We're extra sensitive in that wound at this point. I don't think that wound for many of us is completely, fully healed. It's closed up, but that tissue where we have that wound is extremely sensitive still. So that is what I think that we're going to be dealing with very much so in this energy, is the realization that we still need to work on that area. So in the 6th house, this is about really honestly opening yourself up for the word pleasure. It's not about work. It's not about obligation. It's not about creating a nurturing environment for everybody else, often forgetting to nurture yourself. It is about aligning yourself with the need to please yourself, to feel good about yourself, to open yourself up to relationships. Relationships often show us where we are deficient. So if we have a relationship in our life and it's challenging, then that shows us where we have a weakness. Though, if we are in a relationship and we are getting nothing but positive reinforcement or positive outcomes, then guess what? That means we are going down the right track. We are honestly overcoming where we were weak. And I think that's where many of you are going to seek some solace in this, is that you are starting to align yourself with positive relationships that are honestly really opening yourself up to the fact that you are no longer in this suffering state. So that is the energetic side of it. That is the astrological side of it. The energetic side of it is, you're working hard behind this. You're working hard behind the scenes to really honestly start to fill you up emotionally. And so I think what you needed to do was a lot of 6th house work, where you needed to fill your cup yourself, right? It wasn't about relying on a partnership to fill your cup. It was about providing yourself the affirmation, providing yourself the warmth, providing yourself the acceptance. Through that, you've made yourself such a wonderful partner for somebody to align themselves with. I think where it comes into effect for you is that I think what you need is to, now that you're in alignment, now that you're balanced, now that you're hopeful, now that all this energy is cleansing you and opening you up to a brand new beginning, It's about making the decision to move forward. And for some of you, that can be very difficult. Now, see, this is where, to me, Mercury energy can come in handy. Mercury and Sagittarian energy. You know, Sagittarian energy is very fun-loving. It's very hopeful. It's very optimistic. It's very pleasure-seeking. It's very, give me now, give me all the fun, give me happiness, give me joy. One of the things I love about this energy is that for the most part, you're willing to accept all of this. This isn't something that you're going to say, oh, I don't need it, deny it, and not really honestly be truthful with yourself. You really are going to be truthful with the fact that you deeply do desire this and you do need it. And this will make you want, you want to have fun. Look, the holidays are coming. This is about time of filling your house full of hopeful, loving family dynamics and situations. This is about a cleansing energy. This is about releasing the past and a sunny new outlook on the future. And I really do believe that you're at the precipice of that. You just need to tweak a few things to get that all working, but it's such a lovely energy. You're going to love this outstanding, optimistic energy. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. And dear Leos, you have all of this happening in a super great place for it to be happening. Pleasure, fifth house. And so all of this is going to be happening in creativity and pleasure, good areas for expansion of thought, right? So when Mercury moves in to Sagittarius, this is about expanding the way that you think in a Sagittarian base. And so Sagittarian energy and Leo energy are like just hot and hot. Like they just make each other hotter. And so these two get along super well, super alignment in energy. So you are going to find that you have an extra sunny outlook. You have a very fun-loving approach. You just want to have a good time. You're super optimistic. You're in love with love. You're in love with enthusiasm. Your heart is really ignited in this energy, and you're really wanting to feel some fulfillment. Now, it gets even better as far as I'm concerned. The Sun in Scorpio is going to be in the 4th house. So this has to do with home and family. And so when you have stuff in the 4th house, this has to do with your roots, your ancestral roots as well. How you grew up, what type of home environment that you had at the time and that you grew up. So for some of you, the way that I explained the 4th house is where we grew up. That's the soil that we had to plant our seeds on. And then once we planted our seeds, our 10th house is what we strived for. It's the sky, right? And the branches and how we reach for the sun, essentially. And so we're looking at our root. We're looking at our foundation. We're looking at how lush and fertile our soil is. And we're making sure that is all really, really fertile. So for some of us, what it is that the moon in Pisces is going to conjunct, well, for all of you, the moon in Pisces is going to conjunct with Chiron in Pisces. So this is about finding a way to find emotional fulfillment and being very realistic about an outcome. Very realistic, but also having a hopeful, dreamy enthusiasm for it. Creativity is going to be at an all-time high as you experience this flush of all of this Pisces energy. You're going to be full of love, super compassionate. You're going to get lost in your dreams of hope, dreams of the future, dreams of aligning yourself with somebody. Very pleasure-seeking energy. So some of you could have dreams about a partnership, an intimate partnership, lots of if you were to pick a time to align yourself with energy to move forward in a really loving and positive way, it would really honestly be in the energy right now. This is about, you're going to be full of love and music and art and wanting to express yourself. Great time if any of you make your gifts, to make your gifts for Christmas right now. Lots of really creative energy in this. Also, it is you're going to feel very open and charitable and giving in this information, in this energy. And you're going to be thinking very clearly about what you want for an outcome, a long-range goal. I think that for many of you, this is going to be a wonderful energy. Now, the sun is going to be conjunct with Mercury and conjunct with Saturn in this event. So this is a lot of broad-minded. You're going to be open for exploration, maybe thinking about trips, maybe planning trips, maybe looking at the long-term outcome. You may want to think about reshaping your ethics and your morals, and because you're having a vast mental expansion. This expansion is causing you a lot of positive energy, a lot of hope, a lot of ambition, a lot of forward energy. You're going to have a lot of stamina, Oh my God, you're going to exhaust your partners if you're in a loving relationship or a romantic relationship, intimate relationship. They're going to be like, can we stop now? Like, you're going to be like that. But it's more importantly about heart. You're going to be a lover. You're going to be Don Juan in this energy. It's very beautiful. I'm super excited to be a Leo right now with a Leo moon. Because a Leo, my Mars in Leo, because there's so much positive energy floating around. This is a time of opening up your mind and developing a clear understanding of where you want to go, right? And this will then bring all this creativity into your life and will open you up. I know, great time to get out in the sun. And if you have a sunny day, and just walk out and let the sun hit you. I love when energy is super powerful like this, to get out in your element and let the sun just smack you in the face, and that will then transform your attitude about the day. Even if you're in a really bad place that day, that your own element hitting you in the face, it'll fill you with all of this positive vibration and energy and just make you super energetic. So if I'm looking at the energetic side of this is a very transformative time. Lots of messages, lots of powerful cleansing, lots of moving forward energy. You're not stuck in the past anymore. You've lived through that. The whole Scorpio transits, Pluto, Uranus squares, you've went through all of the really hard knock school, and now you're out of school and you're out there trying to project the best part of you, and that is super positive. I feel really good about it. You're feeling very you're feeling a lot of strength. You're feeling very empowered. You're feeling very aligned. I think many of you are feeling aligned. I think your home environment could be tweaked, and as you move forward and you get optimistic, it will. As you're moving away from coping methods or people with poor coping methods, I think that will strengthen this home environment. I think you've done a lot of internal tweaking. Now it's time to get the external world to match the internal powerful world that you've created. Right? Because you're ready. You're ready to attract the right type of partners. You're ready to attract the right type of friendships, and you're ready to expand in positive ways. You're not going to expand cracks anymore in your foundation. You're going to expand progression and opportunity and enthusiasm and I think once you start to get there, it's a slow step. Anytime that you have all this Chiron energy, it can be a little overwhelming. And so that may make you feel like you might feel a little tipsy in balance as you're getting overstimulated by all of this optimism. But just align yourself with all you've learned and all this wonderful energy and move forward in very deliberate steps. I know there's a deficiency in the home and family. I know there's some missing cogs, or maybe there is some old family deep-seated things you still got to work through, and you might see counseling. Counseling is great to do in this energy. Counseling, talking with friends, talking with really elevated thinkers. Don't align with people who accept you for who you are. Align yourself with people who challenge you a little bit to really expand you and open you up to some really good debates and really good different perspectives, because that'll really open up all this Sagittarian energy. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi Virgo, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. So when Mercury moves into Sagittarius, this really, really opens you up to a new way of thinking. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius is going to be conjuncts the Sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Sagittarius. So this is about taking a look at your home and family, your foundation, your roots, where you want to set up roots. For some of you, that could be moving. For some of you, that could mean opening yourself up to buying or selling real estate, or it could mean that you have to relocate for some reason, and to open yourself up to that possibility, especially if it's for a job or an expansive opportunity. That could be very realistic in this energy. It's about also opening yourself up to conversations and a new way of thinking. For some of you, there may be some change that is necessary for you to move forward and align yourself with your sun, your core, what you deeply desire, what you want. And I think many of you are going to be having some internal conversations with yourself about how you can open yourself up to new things, new ways of thinking, new opportunities. And as you do that, it really challenges some of your limiting mindsets when this happens, especially some areas where you may have idealized outcomes, yet you have a realistic approach on it. Now you're feeling a little bit more hopeful and you're wanting to idealize, but I think at some point you may not know what to exactly idealize. So when Mercury is in Sagittarius, when your ruler is in Sagittarius, you really are going to be thinking about your home life, your foundation, the roots that you are either trying to make in your current situation, or the roots of how you grew up. So many of us have deficiencies in the way that we grow up. And so what we do is we spend our entire life trying to either simulate our life if it was really good, or to compensate for areas that we had deficiencies when we grew up. So this also has to do with making a home for yourself. So as I said, some of you, okay, for instance, I grew up in a house where I didn't have a strong family. So family was always super important to me. In fact, it often met at the expense of my personal life because my family was so important. So what you do is you overcompensate for family, trying to make them happy, and you don't make yourself happy. So what you do in life is try to find that balance always. You try to find that Libran harmonious outtake between what you desire from a family and what you actually have, or what you're currently working for. So you're going to be finding a way to ground yourself and really find substantiated happiness. Now, Mercury is also in a sextile with Mars in Libra. This is about looking at your life, and it's almost like you're taking a look at a snapshot. You're taking a snapshot of your life, and you're looking at it from an analytical point of view. And if you know how you do those capsules, you see those capsules all the time online, where you're talking to you know, where you're talking to your older self or you're talking to your younger self, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? You're honestly doing that. You're taking a look at your life. You're taking a look. Do you want to live where you're living? Are you happy? Is your home warm and inviting? Is it a strong foundation? Is it weak? Why is it weak? You're going to be taking a look at that because you start to value yourself enough too. This may also make you take a look at the way that you were nurtured, right? To take a look at were you fed internally by the person who was supposed to nurture you? And if so, you're probably seeking a partner that is much like the person that nurtured you throughout your life. And so a really good place to start is to take a look at how you were mothered or what nurturing energy fed you. And if that whatever nurturing energy fed you is probably what you're seeking in partnership at this point. So some of you may have a reality check in the fact that you probably had some deficiencies in the nurturing department. And so therefore, some of the partnerships that you have sought, I don't care if they're friendships, I don't care if they're work relationships. If you had an authoritarian mother, then you probably have a lot of very controlling and very dominant friendships and dominant partnerships. And it doesn't matter if it's in work or if it doesn't matter if it's in your relationships, they're very dominating. And so it's a time to balance all of that out and this Libra mindset, and for you to get what you deserve, what you value, what you feel that you deserve. So you may be taking a look. This may be anytime you have Sagittarian energy, it deals with psychology. It deals with philosophy. It deals with a broader way of thinking. So you're not only taking a look at your environment, you're analytically analyzing it and you're analyzing it on a level where you're removing emotion and you're taking a look at it from where you started up till now. And there's a lot of work that comes in when you ask those very important questions. But one of the things I want to bring up is the reason why we're asking a lot of these questions is we have a beautiful Pisces moon conjunct with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Find out where Chiron is in your chart, and that will give you another piece of the puzzle of where some of your deficiencies or some of the ways that you may not have had complete fulfillment growing up, or you may have overindulged as a child. And so that will then help you understand how you're moving forward in your life and progressing. So, and it may make you tweak what you seek, what you want to do, what partners that you need to surround yourself with. And I'm talking about on all levels. So we're going to have a little bit of a reality check because all of this is going to be happening as Neptune goes in and squares this, and as the moon is in Pisces and Chiron is conjuncting this. There's a lot of deep 12th house work, and then we're talking about our roots. So I believe you're at a very self-reflective time and a time of purging. It's a purging moment for you. And when we have this purging moment, then anytime you clean something out, it makes the room for possibility, opportunity, and expansion to happen in that. So I believe this purging is going to push out as you deal with all of this stuff. This purging then opens you up for like a bright, sunny outlook, optimism, hope, the need and desire to want to laugh, to want to have a good time, to want to share your life. You're going to stop being so protective. You're going to stop worrying about your outcome so much and fighting love and companionship. And I think many of you align yourself with work as a form of affirmation, but it's not sustaining. We are human beings. Although you are serving energy, and you always will be, that you need to get fed sometimes. And so really, honestly, be really real with yourself that this is something that you deeply deserve and that you are valuable enough to have. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi Libra, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Mercury moving into Sagittarius. Now for you, all of this is going to be happening in the 3rd house, with Venus, your ruler, being in the 1st house conjunct with Mars and Libra in the 1st house. So this has to do with your thinking, you're processing your environment, you're looking around, you're making sure that it aligns with your sun on a deeply passionate level. You're also looking at your life and evaluating it to make sure that it aligns with what you want. You know, you're aligning your sun with your outward perspective, right? With what people perceive about you. So for the longest time, I keep preaching at you to match how others view you with what what you are aligned with internally. But I think what this more importantly has to deal with is the fact that you have to learn to communicate and open yourself up and be vulnerable in energy. That is very hard for you, because to seek a harmonious situation at all times, often you have to manipulate the truth to a certain degree. So for some of you, for a lot of you, I think for almost every Libra, at some point you manipulate the truth to make it seem like you're aligned with what's going on. More importantly, the reason why you do that is to take a look at the larger purpose of all of it. So if you're in a situation and, okay, like for instance, if somebody tells you that that there's something that they don't like about you, you're going to put on a face of like you're completely understanding and that you will work on it and that you understand their point of view, when deeply if you don't agree with it, resent it. This can happen, and then over time resentments can build on the inside because of all of the conversations you don't have with people. Mercury is going to go in here and stop that from happening to you, because as you're becoming aligned with outwardly matching what you internally desire, and you become passionate as you pour enough emotional momentum into aligning yourself with your outcome, you're going to find that people are genuinely on board with this. Now, it's not always going to sit well, and ideally there's a harmonious way to, it's just like anything you do. When you first start out, there's that tweaking that you do, and that can not feel good. But as you hone the craft, or as you learn something, a skill, it becomes almost second nature. Your second nature is to somewhat manipulate people to believe that you're okay with situations that you're not ideally okay with, but that you need to, because you can remove your emotion from it and then sit on it for a while. But sometimes that builds resentment that people don't quite understand why you have, right? Because you seemed okay with it initially. So I think that's when you can start to experience some of this negativity and energy that I see in this particular energy. So let's talk about that. So Venus, which is conjunct with Mars, is going to oppose Uranian energy, and it's going to square off with Pluto. So this suggests to me that a partnership is going to probably challenge you, or a perspective which is not going to sit right with you. Now, I like oppositions. Oppositions merely give us the opposite side of an argument enough to make us analyze our side of the argument. So when we have opposition, it's a really great time to form, it's very strategic in your head, because what happens is, if we feel strongly about it, then we form an immediate gut reaction to it, and we analytically process it, and then we come back with a rebuttal, right? A rebuttal of why we feel that they're wrong. And as you have this debate back and forth, which is very Sagittarian energy, perspectives then come out of this. New perspectives, new ways to look at the argument, new opinions are formed because of this interaction. And as you have enough of these interactions then stimulate some mental growth. And that's what you're going to feel in this energy. A lot of mental growth. So see what ninth house work does, what Sagittarian work does, is it allows us to grasp new theories and concepts. It allows us to probe further for the answers to these questions. If you are wanting harmony like you, and you love these harmonious outcomes to anything that you get involved in that's combative, when you look at their point of view, obviously that opens up doors in your mind of new concepts, right? Because as you get thirsty for this harmonious resolution, you analytically approach it. Some of you, will seek information or seek conversations with others who will then give you a different perspective, or maybe help you align with their perspective, their limiting belief system. And so that can be very powerful in this energy. This energy is about psychology. It's about philosophy. It's about opening up your mind to different mindsets, completely different mindsets. Perhaps you're a very controlled individual that never loses their disposition under any circumstance, in any circumstance, because you are able to control your emotional reactions. And maybe you're with somebody who has no fracking. A lot of Libras are with Pisces, and they don't have any threshold on their emotional barometer. When they go off, and it's very emotional, and you're just sitting there thinking, this is such an overreaction to the situation, and it can be very frustrating for you who don't feel this way. The challenge lies in looking at it from emotional perspective if you made emotional decisions. And there lies the beauty in this entire transit. So let's take a look at this energetically. So as we are having some of these combative conversations, and we have a square in Plutonian energy as well in our foundation in the 4th house. So perhaps family comes over to your house and starts to challenge some of the ways that you set up your foundation, your roots, your house, the traditions that you're trying to instill in your home life as they're coming over for the holidays, and they're not really supporting you. That will start to make you feel like you have to balance their perspective with yours and make them feel all right. And there lies that teeter-tottering of you trying to suppress what you deeply feel about their opinion, which is just like, shut up. You don't need to have an opinion on my life. It's my life, and support me and love me for it, and I'll make my own mistakes. And so you really honestly could feel, as you're going through this transformation process, all this Scorpio energy that's out there in the sun, you're going to feel somewhat vulnerable and combative. It's like you're trying to defend your position, and that can make you extremely frustrated. As somebody in your life is even more vulnerable than you, I think you stick up for that person. So moving forward, I think there's going to be some balance issues as you teeter-totter all of this new way of, it doesn't feel good to tell people the truth all the time. It doesn't feel good to not seek a harmonious resolution all the time. Sometimes honesty is the best policy, but it's super hard to do. And as you start to align yourself with it, you will get better at it, but it can be somewhat challenging in the beginning. And I think in the beginning of this, you're going to try to find a way to make this better. If children is involved with this, which I kind of feel like there's something to do with children, especially maybe you're having to defend your child. If family comes over and they have a stance on your child, and maybe you have to defend the fact that you're going to raise your child the way you want to, it's your life, you know, that can feel very unsettling. And you may have to stand up for what you feel is right in this family dynamic, because you are the head of your household. You are just as important as their perspective. And I think maybe in the past you may have been somewhat quiet, but now you're not. Now you're standing up in defense of things. And you're not so much relying on your partner to do it, but you're taking the stand in your own life. And it's super sweet. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner. And I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event.